Carolina.
Get ready for liftoff.
How do you feel?
Are we on?
Maybe. Hello and welcome to the Ponyverse podcast. I'm Helen.
And I'm Lil Megs.
And we have a very special guest joining us today. She hails from Rochester, Minnesota.
Alexandria,
By way of Alexandria, Virginia.
the last 40 plus years.
Yes, she's a Sagittarius. She's the founder and CEO of Janet's Junk Vintage, and she is my mother. Please welcome Janet Moffitt to the Ponyverse podcast.
Oh, thank you. Excited to be here.
We're going to talk about so much today.
Yeah.
We're really excited. But first, I see you have something.
Oh, yes. Thank you to remind me. I brought a little treat for Lil Megs.
Oh, for me?
So, yes. And I know that you love vintage things and antique things.
Oh my
and that's what I love. And this was something that belonged to my grandmother, my father's mother. And it's, well, you can open it if you like.
Okay.
A live unboxing.
Live unboxing. Maybe something for your new home.
Stop. Oh my gosh.
Can you describe it for the listeners?
Okay.
It's from the 1920s.
Shut up.
No, 1920s, and it's a pillow, right? It's like it's a nice little pillow. I've had it forever. Belonged to my grandmother, my dad's mom, and I probably got it sometime in like 1980. Yeah, and I've had it. I just love it. It's needlework. It's all stitched on.
She sent me pictures like, do you think I'm Lil Megs? I said that is right up her alley.
Well, now I feel evil taking it now.
No, it's a gift. You just accept the gift,
Thank
right?
you.
I just thought you would love it.
I
and
do.
thought
We show it to the
you'd
camera.
appreciate it.
Oh, it's dense.
Yeah, it feels like it's made out of like rice.
Yeah.
I couldn't really tell for a second if it was a pillow or like what's it called, potpourri?
Right. No, it's definitely a pillow.
But it's an oval pillow with like tulle mesh on the edges, and then it has a ring of like needlepoint roses and rosettes, and then there's a girl in a big old ball gown with the tulle there too, and she's holding a bouquet with a flower crown. Oh my god!
Isn't it cute? I think it's probably from the mid-1920s, so probably about 100 years old, which is wild.
Yeah.
to think
So it's
of
an
that.
antique?
Yeah. So,
Oh my
gosh. No, it's really sweet. And my grandmother had a lot of neoclassical kind of things and needlepoint.
No, this is gonna go
Yeah.
perfectly in my room. I know exactly where I have a little chair that I never sit in, but I can just place it there.
There you go.
On display.
Yeah.
Okay, yay.
You're so welcome.
Okay, so for the listeners who don't know you, which is everyone, can you give just a very high level background of your life story? So like where you were born, where you grew up, how you ended up in Charlotte, North Carolina today.
Go backwards.
Yeah.
Okay, reverse chronology, I
Yeah.
guess, right? Okay, so mother of Helen and Hugh, right? Helen's here in
Brother
Charlotte.
reveal.
And so we're here visiting, right? My
Yeah.
husband Chris is here with us as well. And
He's playing on his iPad in the other room.
as I said earlier, we've lived in Virginia, Alexandria, Virginia for more than 40 years in the Washington metro area. And how I got there, right after graduate school, I went to graduate school in William & Mary in Williamsburg, moved to Washington, got a job, and worked in Washington, and I've never left. So, but I was born and raised in Minnesota and grew up in Rochester, Minnesota. So.
Cool. I think that's good enough. Okay, I want to talk about, because you brought in something from your grandmother.
Yes.
And I feel like there's a lot of women in our family who collect things. And some would say hoard, but others would say collecting. So can you talk a little bit about like your mom and then your grandmothers and how like you were raised around stuff like vintage antiques? Because like, were they antiques? Like was my grandmother into antiques? Like were they antiques when she got them, or are they just antiques now? Because like
No,
she's
she
had
was
them for a
into
while.
collecting.
Okay,
Right.
yeah.
No, absolutely. So yeah, so first of all, there's a fine line between collector and hoarder.
Ooh, okay, totally.
And we walk that line.
So, the collector and hoarder, feel that, right? So, there's this drawn to things, but I would say there are days when I'd say, oh my gosh, it's just too much. It's like way too much. But the collection tends to be out and displayed, and you want to enjoy your things that you have, right? Mm-hmm. Hoarder just likes to accumulate, perhaps. It's different. It's a whole different thing. But we won't laugh about that. But I grew up with, I'd say, more collectors, but it could be borderline.
Yeah. Me too.
Like, wow. So things were out to be seen, and definitely maximalist environment in terms of display and I think you grew up that way because we had tons of things in our house. But yeah, my grandmother, who owned that little pillow, right? So it's my father's parents. They were married in like early 1920s, 1924, I think it was.
Crazy.
And so they had what would be considered early American things first, right? And then they collect. But she was really into the art and sculpture and porcelain and things like that. And and she was a pianist, she was a musician. She went off to college and graduated in 1921 from college in music, piano, and English. And so she was a bit of a trailblazer, much like her great granddaughter here. But she went off, and she was very close to her. So she's really fond. I was really fond of her. And so she was. Decided she went off to Montana to teach school. And this is back when Yellowstone National Park was still relatively new.
Oh,
it was like 20 years old.
She was in Montana, just north of Yellowstone. And I have this biography that she wrote before she died, saying how she loved to ride horses. From after they'd finished teaching, they'd ride into Yellowstone.
She was like 23.
How beautiful it was. It was like really cool. So anyway, so she was definitely, and would you know that I still have her jod purse that she got? With, like her riding pants.
I didn't know
They're
that.
brown riding pants with the belt. So, see, they hold on to things. They have whatever. I don't know what I'm ever doing with them because she was a very tall woman and they didn't ever fit me. But I always thought it was kind of cool that we still had these. But anyway, so I love things. So my grandmother had things. My father started collecting when he was in his very early 20s, when he was in the Korean War. And he was a naval officer, and he started when he'd go on leave to Tokyo in Japan. So he bought a lot of Asian things. He was very interested in Japanese art.
He would go to war and then just like kind of shop.
No.
That's fun.
Not exactly, but yes.
But in the letters, he'd be like, so I went to this market and I got all this stuff today.
It's really, anyway, so he got an interest, very much interested in Asian and Japanese art. And so that's really interesting too. So that, and then my mother got interested in all kinds of things. So candlesticks is one. We had a bazillion candlesticks, silver candlesticks, brass candlesticks, glass candlesticks, all kinds of things. And then it was like stoneware and early American things. In the 1970s, it was the bicentennial era, so 200 years of America, right? So a lot of early American things became really popular. There was a lot of collecting of antiques that were from the 18th century. So my mom just jumped all over that. She was really into that and to furnishing our house where I grew up, and that was in the early and mid 70s. So that's when a lot of the collecting began. So,
and for the listeners, her mom is Marilyn, my iconic grandmother. Passed away like 3 months ago.
And what was
she
your
was a fan
grandmother's name?
favorite.
Her name was Vinnie Mary Stewart. Yes, yes, right.
Thanks, Vinny.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So she was a Norwegian. Both of her parents were Norwegian, so they came from
I
Norway.
want to visit Norway.
Yeah.
That's on top of my bucket list.
Yeah.
It's really cool. What's your, I know, so you're in the process of like downsizing and getting rid of all of your things.
Yes.
And then also getting rid of all of
Well, it's not
your
really
mother's.
getting
Not
rid
getting,
of so much as
paring down. Passing them along.
Passing along is deaccessioning. That's what.
But what's your favorite thing that you found recently, like in your house, that you can't give away?
That I can't
Yeah.
give away?
Or maybe their favorite thing you have given away and your favorite thing that you
Oh gosh,
decided you can't give away.
Well, can I just go back and say how I caught the collecting bug?
Yeah.
Because
I would love to hear
it's
that
kind
too.
of growing up with this, being surrounded by objects, and I enjoy going to antique shops with my parents and my mom, right? So we did a lot of antiquing, but there wasn't such a thing as thrifting.
Yeah, because I was going to say, like, Mama wasn't thrifting.
Oh, she was definitely not thrifting.
Yeah.
There's a difference between thrifting and antiquing, though.
Yeah.
And it
So
also,
she was
like,
an
wasn't
antique.
cool. She was very, like,
Sophisticated.
She didn't understand how anyone would want to wear somebody else's clothes.
Oh, okay.
So that was kind of a thing. She would. Well, we didn't really do thrifting. There wasn't. I mean, not like it is today, right? It was. These were going to antique shops to find, but other people's stuff.
Would
right?
she, like, make all y'all's clothes, or would
no.
y'all, like, go and buy them?
Talbots.
Okay.
No, Talbots.
No,
I was on. So my mom does this thing called Friends Day Wednesday with her, like 6 high school friends, like middle school friends,
Yeah.
and they Zoom every Wednesday night, and they've done it since 2020. So they've done it for like 6 years. But I joined one of them on Christmas last year, and I was asking one of her friends what she was like as like a high schooler, and she was like, and her friend was like, Talbots didn't exist yet, but she was very Talbotsy.
That was a word.
And I was like, okay, so like, I was like straight A, like goody two shoes. And I was like, not really. Like you weren't like, you didn't get like straight A's,
No.
but you were like preppy, and like you were
Very
like
preppy.
like doing like crafts.
I don't know about crafts.
Yeah.
I played the flute. I played very musical.
Okay, so
that's
band.
good.
Okay,
Yeah.
the reason
Preppy
I
band
asked
girl.
that is
Yeah.
because my great-grandmother was born 1922, and she would make all the clothes for my grandma and her brother growing up. So, like, she grew up in the Great Depression, like, with that mindset. So that's why I asked. I wasn't just
Right.
saying, like,
Yeah. No. Her mother was like, would do that.
Yeah.
right? And her mother would fix everything. So.
But Mama was like 33 or 32, 1932.
She was born 1931.
I mean,
31.
that's a 10-year difference. That's not that crazy.
No.
And, like,
She was shopping.
She was definitely a shopper.
Yeah.
She loved fashion. She liked having all the latest.
But she also like worked and made her own money.
Well, absolutely.
Yeah.
And that was the thing, because you have to also go back to the era in terms of what was happening. So 70s with antiques and what we call vintage stuff now, right? Were very much popular because of this bicentennial era, the American pieces were. And then over time it's been fun to kind of look back and see the trends, how things changed. But in clothing was different. Like my mom, she went back to work. She was a stay-at-home mom, super duper volunteer, but went back to work when I was probably in 5th grade, I think. Started in real estate then. And so she really got into that. And that was really her lifelong profession, then, selling real estate. But she ran at one point became the owner and leader of this real estate company. And she really had rules about what you could wear.
Oh,
Right?
What
You
were
had
the
to
rules?
dress. You had to dress for success. That was
Yeah.
like the buzzword, right?
Yeah.
In the late 70s and early 80s. And so you had to look good, because if people are coming to make the biggest investment in their life, it's their home, right? So she felt like you needed to be dressed for the occasion. So she was always dressed to the nines. That's what I always felt like. You always had a brooch. She would love it, because she
Like
always
my
had a brooch
brooch.
on, or she had a scarf, or she had jewelry, always had be very well put together. And that continued, and she died at 94, and literally up to
Her hair
the
was
end.
done.
Her hair was done.
Or it wasn't
We
done,
loved
and that
her
was the
dearly.
first time.
Yes, we miss her and we love her, but that was like, she just was so fashionable. I'm definitely not that, but I think that was her, she really liked that. And that was, at that era, that was also kind of an expectation. I know for me, when my first jobs out after graduate school, we never wore pants to work. You wore dresses and skirts, stockings, heels, the whole thing. Lots of outfits, right? Lots of clothing and suits, but also dresses. And anyway, I had a couple places where it said, women will not wear pants. You're told you're not allowed to wear pants to go to work. That was like,
What if you were cold?
well, you could wear pants under your dress or skirt to get to work to stay warm, but then you had to wear the dress.
Take off your pants. You're at work. We gotta see your legs.
Because the skirts were short, so you could wear pants to get there, but you had to have the skirts on.
Isn't that kind of creepy though?
It is. I look back and I think that's so
kinda
weird that we had to do that. But that was really common. I worked in D.C. and D.C. was Washington D.C. was pretty conservative in a lot of ways, right? But yeah.
But because you studied like museum stuff.
Right.
Like, so because you like you wanted to work in a museum. That was
Yep.
like your dream, but then you decided that wasn't.
I loved all these antiques and objects, right? So when I was 10 years old, I said, someday I'm going to live in Virginia. That was my lifelong dream. So I've been living the lifelong dream, right? So I knew it. So at 10, I was going to live in Virginia someday. So at any rate, I did realize the dream.
You
So
did it.
yeah, I did.
But you didn't, because you didn't ever really work in museums, or did you, for like a
Oh,
second?
I did. I did sort of initially, like in college and graduate school, did some internship type things, and then when
Did
I
you
was,
realize it was like nepo baby job?
No, when I was in graduate school and I had a fellowship at a nice museum, I decided I didn't really want to do that forever.
yeah.
And it was like, so I said, okay, I'll finish my degree, which I did, and then I'm going to move to Washington and I'll figure out. So I went to work at an auction house in Washington. So I got to work with stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and instead of in a museum where you look at the finest items, I was looking at the good, better, and best, like see the real junk kind of thing. So I really saw every week they were selling big estates of furniture, and it was so amazing to think back how much stuff I saw. So I really loved it. So I did that for a couple of years and learned a tremendous amount about not only the stuff I knew, but the all kinds of things, American, English, European. Yeah. So that allowed me to learn about the business side of things. So I knew all about the connoisseurship and looking at objects and knowing whether it's an antique or a reproduction, how to do it. But figuring out what they're worth. Now it's nowadays you can just Google image just about anything, and I don't always believe what it tells you. However, but you can do that, and we didn't have any of that back then.
But so then after, that's what gave you the knowledge, because after that you did your own antique appraiser business.
Yep, I was a certified antique appraiser or personal property antique.
So you go to like people's houses, fancy things.
And I did primarily clients who wanted either insurance appraisals or they were donating things to museums, and then I would appraise them. So did that. Then one thing led to another. And
we needed health insurance.
And one day I got a call saying you should apply to work in the government as an appraiser. They're looking for an antique appraiser. I'm like, That wasn't in my plan, but I tried, and I did. I went to work for the government, for the Treasury Department, basically, and so worked evaluating art and antiques for tax purposes. So pretty interesting stuff. Did that, and then got into a series of leadership positions where I just stayed and worked in different divisions.
Is that what you did for the majority of your career?
For the last 21 years.
Whoa,
Yeah,
I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
But were you doing like IT security?
Yes, I went into that. Oh no, I left the art and the antique appraisal division and went in because I went into this leadership program become management, essentially senior manager. So went into that, lead teams. So technically leading teams, you can do all kinds of things. So I ended up in different divisions. I worked in strategy and finance and in IT, and then I worked for the commissioner's office. So.
I know, I don't know how all the secretive stuff with the government is, but can you talk about what kind of items?
No, you can't. That was just it. And there was a life.
Did they interview our neighbors
thing.
too?
Oh, before you got all the background check.
Yeah, they interview all the people on our street.
They
Is she weird?
No, not just that. They asked all kinds of things. But no, there is a confidentiality clause that goes sort of lifetime, whether you work there or not. So we got to...
And just to clarify, it's for the government-owned items, not the people who are in the government?
No. Taxpayers who, these are, would be appraisals for tax purposes. So let's say that you are a very wealthy collector and you've decided to donate, a painting or a collection of paintings to a museum or to a university, then those would be appraised and there'd be evaluation. So anything that was over at the time, it was $20,000, but now it's like $50,000. It was required, it had to be reviewed by government appraisers. But most of what we looked at were in the hundreds of thousands and millions of dollars, right? So we had to, because these were the valuations. So typically there was, and I'll make this really quick because it's not that interesting. But typically there would be a for a donation appraisal, someone might wish to overvalue the property in order
As
to
a tax
have a
write-off.
higher, right. And for an estate tax appraisal, right, they would want to undervalue it because they want to pay less taxes. So there would be, we would be on the lookout for fraudulent where people were undervaluing the stuff, thinking that nobody would know the difference, right?
So like if someone's like, I got the Mona Lisa here, I'm gonna donate it. I'm writing off $50 bazillion.
Right. I don't want
And
to
you'd be like,
too many questions because I know you're probably tired of talking about it for the last 20 something years. But like, what's the process? Like, do you just do one single appraisal? Is there like a team of people who like appraise?
We would be reviewing for the government work.
Yeah.
That would be reviewing the taxpayers' appraisals and documentation.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I had some fun opportunities. I can't discuss the actual cases, but I got to go to track down some fraudulent situations and go to warehouses and look at the stuff in person with some other art experts that we'd bring in.
art fraud is so cool.
It was very interesting. It was fascinating. I thought that was really interesting. But after a while, what I missed, that was less about the hands-on. It was more like reading the documents and looking at their pictures. And as I said, then it was not as is today where you can find so much online. You can look at so much. It was really different. But so I don't really miss that part of it. What I missed was the hands-on working with objects, and that's what
But now in your current
Now
venture.
it's Janet's Junk Vintage. I get to do that all the time, right?
I want to talk a little bit about Janet Junk because like I feel like when I started Thrift Pony in my head I was like, this is kind of random, but now like thinking about your life and like our whole, I don't know, and like mama, I'm like, it makes sense that I'm like in the stuff business.
Yeah.
Because everyone's kind of been in the stuff business.
We love stuff.
In the business of stuff.
Stuff and things, right?
Yeah.
We love it.
Okay, so talk about because like you started thrifting like furniture back in like 2018 or 20, like it was because you had a spot in the antique booth.
Oh, right. Oh, no, absolutely. So, no, as I said, I loved objects, loved collecting, started collecting in my early 20s. Started as soon as I was able to have enough money to spend. Before I got married, before I had children, was buying folk art, like American folk art, 18th and early 19th century. That's the stuff that I really love. And so I enjoyed that, going to estate sales, going to auctions, loved going to auctions, and you could really find some really cool things. So I enjoyed that part a lot. But it wasn't until Helen went off to college. I think that was it, because she went off to college and I no longer had to worry about going and being a judge at a swim meet, right?
Because you were, we can get into more of this, but you were my momager.
I was your momager. Yes,
You're a very good momager.
That was another job.
And that was a full-time job.
Yeah, momager's definitely a job.
/ parole
That's the
officer.
hardest job. Parole officer, right. No, but yeah, so 2013 is when I opened I had like an antiques shop, and like it was a
like Sleepy Poet.
I loved it. It was this place that had been around forever, and it was so much fun because I used to go there, and it was called Thieves Market at one point, and then it was the Mumford Antique Center. But I thought, it would be really fun to like open up a space, right? Because I enjoy doing. I love the hunt. It's the treasure hunting that's the most fun. You know, the tagging of stuff isn't very
But you
much
like,
fun.
because of all your experience, you'd go to like a Goodwill and you'd be like, this is like an 18th century like side table, and like you could like always pick out the things where you'd be like, this is like $1,000 like thing, and then like some of them you refurbished, but other of them you just like curated and you were able to know what they were.
Yeah.
And then so you had the antique mall, but then what happened?
Oh, that's the sad part of the story. But anyway, yes, so I did that. But I was also basically selling on Craigslist too. And I had Hugh, our wonderful son, who was like super strong. So he was in high school. And we had the old minivan. And so it was a perfect combination. I find these things. Hugh, can you come help me get them in the car? So that was great. And then he became part of my little delivery service. So I delivered things into DC to people who didn't have cars, right? And so here I am with the Suburban Mom minivan, and I find stuff. So that was fun. So I enjoyed doing that as a, what do you call that, side hustle kind of thing. Because I was still working full time, obviously. And then Yeah, yeah, and then sadly, that was probably some years later. Then I forget what year it was
2020.
exactly, but there was a fire at the antique store and we lost
And it
everything.
burned down.
Didn't you say it was an electrical issue? or
We
something
think
like that?
so. We never really were
But
told.
like the whole thing burned
But it
down.
was kind of a bit of a fire trap, I would say. It was this old building. It was 16,000 square feet, so huge,
Yeah.
2 levels, and kind of rickety. But it was so charming, and so you would love it. It was like such
I
a
would've.
fun-
It was literally like it
Yeah.
was like Sleepy Poet, but like 2 stories and like
Yeah, and it was really sad. You have to grieve the loss, but not just of this stuff. I felt
Right.
more. I was glad nobody was in the building when it happened. It happened on Christmas night of whatever year that was.
I think it's
Now I've
2020.
forgotten. I don't
Around
know.
then,
Wasn't
maybe
that
2018?
or 18? I don't
Yeah.
know when it was exactly, but it was kind of tough because I felt sad for there were a lot of older vendors, like dealers, that this was their social life too, because
Yeah.
they'd spend, their time in their shop in the thing during the day, and they just lost everything. And for me, I lost everything, but I also had a job, and so
Right.
it wasn't the end of the world. But anyway, so that was fun. I enjoyed doing that. It was close to our house, so it was kind of easy to do. Couldn't
Yeah.
keep it
What
from-
kind of stuff do you curate or thrift for? Because you said you went to school for art history. Is that
history and
correct?
art history?
Yeah. So like, what did you specify in school, and then like, does that impact what you like to
Yeah,
thrift
yeah. No,
and antique for?
Well, I have broad tastes.
Okay.
I love all kinds of things. I really do love stuff. I really love. I can appreciate so many different things and how they're made. I have an eclectic collection at home, I would say. But my true love was always 18th and early 19th century American folk art. I'd say that would fall into that category.
Because you have those embroidered ones. It was like a girl, this like 18-year-old girl died, and it was like an embroidery of like her funeral. It was like rest in
it's-
peace, like Mary Bell.
Yeah, I
like-
have a collection of mourning art, sort of like death and mourning art, and so
I like.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's really interesting. And I got interested because I'd done it. I had been working in a museum in Philadelphia, and I had seen these embroidered pictures, these silk embroiders that were done by little girls that showed, people like this, mourning on a tombstone, and there's weeping willows, and there's some lovely things. And they're beautifully done. I mean, really well done needlework. And I kept going, why were little girls being taught this? What was so that I ended up writing my master's thesis on this topic. Long story short, so got very interested in it, and then started collect when I would find things because nobody was really buying some of it. So
Yeah.
that was really interesting. So I have a number. Sort of stopped a while ago buying that
Yeah.
because I move on and buy look at other things. So I like so that was one thing. I like art pottery. So that's different. So early 20th century American art pottery. I love needlework, but that falls into the sort of folk art category, I'd say.
What do you sell as Janet Johnson?
Yeah, what is Janet's junk
Janet's
target
junk.
demographic? Can you talk about how Janet's junk came to be?
Oh, well,
And how you had a branding
credit
consultant?
goes to my branding consultant here. No, it's so fun. And whenever I welcome someone, I love this. It's a great name because
Okay, but because you started out with a less exciting
I know
name.
it's less exciting. We won't get into that, but
It was called Antiques Worth, and I said, you have to, like, when you're at flea markets, you have to understand that people are going to a flea market to, like, they want to buy something, like, fun and,
Right.
like, weird from, like, a fun lady. And, I'm like, your name is fun. Like, your name's Janet. So,
somehow people laugh every time we
Yeah,
say.
so I said
Hi,
Janet's
it's
Junk.
Janet.
Yeah.
Janet's Junk Vintage. I'm like, okay, let's just use it. So it's actually been really fun. And variety again, eclectic mix. It's kind of I curate before we go to each market. I try to figure out what I have and what I would like to. You also it's test and learn.
Yeah.
You figure out what people are looking for, right? And so, but to say what do I sell? The most
what
of?
have you learned from your test and learn? We've
I
had some
learned
Thrift Pony
that-
customers who follow us go see her at her markets
Oh
in
my
DC.
What? Oh yes,
Yes.
that's right. That's right. The power of social media.
Yeah.
That's what I've learned, right? Exactly. Yes, and I'll be at the Delray Vintage Flea Market, which is wonderful. It's in Delray, Alexandria. It is the best. And there's some others that we're getting ready to start up. That's an all-year one, but we didn't have February because the darn winter won't go away. So we were there in January. It was cold and the snow was coming down. February got canceled, so now we're coming up on March 14th. That'll be the next one. But they're monthly that are so fun, and Delray is a really fun one. And then there's the others start in late March and April. There's other markets as well. The market season sort of begins. Monthly markets.
She like almost did one of ours last year.
But it takes up a lot of time, you know that.
So you have your assistant.
But I have my assistant, my dear husband, who loves it, and my friend Connie, who's wonderful. Connie.
Shout out Connie.
Shout out Connie.
Okay, switching gears, I want to talk a little bit about fashion because you like say you're not that fashionable, but like your friends described you as fashionable as a kid, and I have some fun pictures of you as a kid in your outfits. So what were you wearing in like the 60s? You were like 0 to 9, but like in each decade of your life, what would you say was like your uniform of what you would wear?
I'm not sure I had a uniform.
Okay, but this one where you would wear your Adidas shoes.
Oh, well, that's important to know. That is a fun fact about me. I was the first trendsetter, 5th grade.
These ones.
Yes. Okay, that's.
She's 14.
I was wearing red gazelles. Those are red suede gazelles. You would laugh when I tell you I still have the box for that. I don't have the shoes, but I found the box and it had all these photos in it. I found that recently.
Crazy.
I'm like, when I was opening up all these old photo boxes, I'm like, oh my God, those are my Adidas gazelles. But the shoes
From
are
like 1974?
Yeah, well, it would have been that era. That was the 1974 pre-bicentennial trip.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no. Okay, so that I could take a cue off of that. It's in the 70s of that era, early 70s, probably corduroys, Levi's, right? And then Adidas. But I was the first one to have Adidas in 5th grade. So 5th grade was
cool.
the
You were pretty cool.
I didn't even know I was the first one. It was later in high school. One of my neighbor friends, he said, you know, you were the first one. You were like the one.
You're like, oh, they're watching you.
I didn't know. No, I don't know. They were just Adidas, right?
So like, what were like? Yeah, like what was like a cool? So it was like Adidas and Levi's. So basically, what people are wearing now.
Pretty much,
like sweaters.
Right. That. And then I went. Oh, I was really thrilled when I got a job, dream job, to work at this boutique in the late summer of, sort of more like fall of 1978. So late 70s. I'll tell you from that.
Like your senior year of high school.
Going into my senior year, and then I worked there during vacations, and then the following summer. So I really loved it. Always thought I would have a clothing store someday. You know,
You kind of do.
here we are. Yeah.
What kind of stuff did they sell there?
Oh, it was sort of a I don't know how you'd characterize it now, but women's clothing boutique.
Were they their own brand, or did they sell other brands?
Yeah, it was their own brand because, not their own brand. They sold like Jones of New York, I think, and JH Collectibles. I'd have to try to remember.
we see all the
The ones you see. So that's like when I go to Thrift, I'm like, oh, I know this stuff.
That was going to be my next question of
labels.
like what brands do you see thrifting where you're like, that was sold at like department stores in like the 70s and 80s?
Remember.
Like Jones, did you have Liz Claiborne?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
They had Liz Claiborne and all of those. But no, I enjoyed that. That was fun. But for that, you wanted to know what I was wearing, right? So late 70s into the 80s would have been for me going into college. So definitely preppy. I had so many monogram sweaters, and I had one that had strawberries on it with my monogram, and I had one with fall leaves, or sort of seasonal, and I had lots of monogram stuff, very preppy stuff.
Were other people doing that, or were you just really preppy?
I know it was kind of a big deal because it was the preppy handbook came out in that era, I think it was. So that was, and I was in a sorority, so it could have been leaning more toward
Yeah.
So no, I don't think everybody.
Shout out Delta Gamma.
Shout out to Delta Gamma.
And like so were the other girls in your sorority were wearing similar, like it was all pretty preppy?
I think, it was pretty much,
Yeah.
pretty much very preppy. Fair Isle sweaters, a lot of Fair Isle sweaters.
What's that?
Do you know what that is?
Nope.
It was like a wool sweater that had sort of a pattern here, and it was kind of a yoked kind of
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that if you didn't have the big monogram right here, you would have the
Fair Isle.
Fair Isle Shetland sweaters.
What do you think of like, okay, because Megan loves vintage lingerie, but I feel like most of the stuff you love was what, from like the 70s and 80s, or is it from earlier?
Definitely 80s.
80s?
Yeah.
Like, do you think it's funny that people are just wearing vintage lingerie as clothes now?
Yeah. I do. I do. But that's just...
But it's so
changed,
pretty.
Yeah.
Do you think most of the fashion that you wore was because of the decade or like where you were in the US? Because now that we have like social media, I feel like there's very different niches of where you live. Like on the East Coast compared to the West Coast, even just like the
Like,
Midwest.
did you notice any differences when you moved? Because you lived in Minnesota, Wisconsin till end of college, and you moved to
Right.
the East Coast and stayed here. So, like,
Right.
did you notice any differences of what people were wearing?
No, I'm not sure I paid
Midwest
attention.
or-
Because we all
also
looked at
harder.
Glamour magazine.
Exactly,
Right?
and
Yeah.
old magazines
Right.
and like
Yeah.
the catalogs
Yeah.
that way. I wonder if it was like pretty
Yeah.
unanimous. That's why you find those certain
Yeah.
brands everywhere, or
Yeah, or like, how did you find fashion inspo? Did you kind of just see things that you liked and bought it? Did you look at what like other girls that you knew were wearing? Did you look in catalogs, or did people like? Because here everyone looks on social media and they're like, okay, this like influencer,
Right,
Pinterest
we would
or
have looked
whatever.
at Glamour magazine,
Okay.
probably,
Yeah.
and everything was probably way behind,
Yeah.
where
In
it was
Wisconsin.
but yeah, I think it was that. You kind of know what was trending, right?
But you didn't wear like flower power stuff. I guess that was 70s.
No. Yeah, that would be like 60s to early
Oh,
70s.
okay. So you were like 10.
Right.
Sorry.
So really became other trends would be from the movies. So Annie Hall, Diane
Okay.
Keaton. I love Diane Keaton.
Mhm.
Okay, Diane Keaton was in Annie Hall. What was that? Late 70s, I think. That she had like hats, blazers. Kind of. She wore a lot of pants. And boots. I think she had boots too. But that was kind of a trend. I think we wore a lot of like boots and skirts, longish kind of tweeds and.
Just the
in
same as
fall.
now.
But when I went to school in Wisconsin, where the fall it was kind of cold, not like down here where it's hot. You're not
Yeah.
wearing a
Yeah.
lot of wool and stuff in the fall, but
Yeah.
you would wear lots of wool and sweaters and skirts and whatever. But yeah, we had Levi's,
Yeah.
jeans. Calvin Klein was also kind of big as well. The
Yeah.
Calvin Klein jeans. We sold a lot of Calvin Klein jeans in the
At the dollhouse.
At the dollhouse.
The boutique.
The boutique, yeah.
It's so interesting. I wish I could like teleport back in time and just like look at everyone.
yeah.
Because people probably look so like normal and sweet. No one,
Sure.
no one
Probably
had,
not
no one
that
had
much
Instagram
different.
face.
Oh no, what's that?
It's like when you get a lot of Botox and filler.
Oh yeah.
No hate, no
yeah,
shade. Just it's sometimes
No.
kind of fun to look at people
Right.
back then when everyone just
Right.
had normal face, like they just had their face.
Are you able to tell, like, if you look at a photo of someone and be like, oh, I know exactly what decade that's from? Because I can't just
From their
by
clothes?
No, from their face.
From the face.
I can easily tell, like,
Interesting.
people's, mainly, like, if they're, like,
Or like haircut.
30 or younger, like, I can pretty much tell based, like, their facial features.
Right.
I feel like,
Wait, you're trying to guess how old the person is or when the photo was taken?
like, when it was taken. Like,
I think I'm
feel
getting
like-
better. I feel like when I was younger, anything before like 1995, aka when I was born, like it could have like in my head 1940 and 1970 were the same. Like I had no
Got it.
concept of
Right,
like.
right,
but now
right.
that I'm getting older, like because you're around longer, like time.
You kinda
I can comprehend what happened in the 70s a little more now. When before I thought I was like that's old people time. Like I wasn't born like that. Like anything in the 1900s could have been all. They'd be like, oh, this is from the 20s. They'd be like, that could have been 10 years ago or
Right.
like 5. Like it
Right.
wasn't. I didn't have. But I feel like I'm getting a better concept of time now.
Like, if I look at a
Context,
picture
yeah.
of an adult in the 70s, I feel like a lot of them have high cheekbones and more sunken in eyes.
Oh.
And then in the 80s, people have like a larger brow bone.
Oh.
I feel like there's very like different.
That's very precise, Lex.
I mean, I feel like every time I would look at art and like or photography in art class, I could like
You could
easily
tell.
tell.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm just weird.
Yeah.
If I'm making stuff up, but
Yeah. I don't know. Do you feel like you see people walking around now and you're like, I wore that in the 70s or in the 80s.
Yeah,
in the
I've seen
90s,
things.
or,
And I
like
thought,
when you're at the thrift. Because I was asking Mindy, I was like, when you're thrifting, can you tell like what decade? She's like, not always, no. And I was like, okay.
well, you can tell from some of the tags, and you probably know that.
I feel like we both can tell like really long out, but for a while I couldn't.
really
But you'd be
don't.
like, I know when this. But now I can look at something. I'm like, I know exactly when
You
that
can-
was.
The stitching, I think you can tell. You can
Mhm.
tell from if you. It's actually helpful to have examples of garments from different eras
Yeah.
and kind of see how, there's some 1950s and 60s things where when you turn it inside out, you think, oh, it looks kind of raw in
Yeah.
there. But that's almost
how it
like it
is.
is that homemade. No, it's not. It's just that it's just done different.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like like the brand, kind of like you were saying, like JH Collectibles and like Jones New York, and like I feel like I can tell all the brands where I'm like, this is like 80s, late 70s, 80s, and then there's ones that are like 90s, and then like the ones that are a lot of like the Megan told me about like union tags and all that. So
Right.
I feel like, but it's probably like similar to how you did with furniture, but like we've just seen gazillions of clothes, so now
Yeah.
like I don't even
Yeah.
have to really look at something. I'm like, no, I know, like I know
you
when
can
this is
tell
from.
by
Like
the
it's
stitching. You could certainly shoulder pads was a big thing, so that's a dead giveaway, for shoulder pads. And when you see that, but I think it's just that's the connoisseurship of
Yeah.
learning about your area, right?
Yeah.
Whatever that is, whether it's furniture or clothing.
What was it like being my momager?
That was the hardest job ever, but it's the best one. Yeah, that was the best one. Hard, very hard, but fun, very fun too. Yeah.
Like you, so I feel like this is like the most, so you're very creative, and I feel like I get all my creativity from you, and I feel like
Most
you don't,
likely, yes.
yeah. But I feel like you never like, you never let yourself like do something with it. Like you work for the government where they squash your creativity. So I'm excited to
That's
see
why
where
you
you're
need a
going
side
now.
hustle.
Yeah.
Right.
But no, when I was in 4th grade, I was running for historian, and it was like all of 4th grade ran, and I was gonna just give a speech, but you were like, you should do something that sets yourself
Well,
apart.
there were
you should do a cheer.
32 high achiever 4th graders who were running for historian.
And I said, I have to beat them all.
It was in the gifted and talented class at this school.
Oh, yeah,
so
it
it's
was
like
in
every
gifted
kid wanted to be the sorry, I'm always laughing. It's like so you're going to need to stand out in some way, Helen. You need a little cheer.
We co-wrote a
Stick
cheer.
with you.
Oh my gosh.
You need something, a little, like a little ditty, the commercials that you'll remember,
Yeah.
so that they'll remember to vote for you.
Yeah.
That was really what
So
we
we were
talked
at the
about that.
dining room table. We wrote this cheer, and it was to the tune of one of my swim meet cheers.
I need y'all to do it together and
Okay.
sing.
It was H-E-L-L-E-N, that's Helen Moffitt for historian. That's H-E-L-L-E-N, that's Helen Moffitt for historian. I'm number 1, not 2, not 3, and this is why you should vote for me. As historian, I'll do more to welcome new students at the door. School assemblies is where I'll be taking pictures of dolphin history.
Yeah.
Something.
Wow.
Yeah.
But I had like pom-poms, and I went on the school news, and guess what? I won by a landslide. And when I was in high school, there would be like people, like this happened in 4th grade, and I would be in high school, so like 10 years later, not 10 years later, I don't know, 6, 7 years later, and people would like do it to me in the hallway that I didn't
Because
even
they remembered it. It was memorable because it was that cheer.
So I've been training on good branding and good marketing since I was a young kid, and it all kind of makes
Yeah.
sense. But
Yeah. That and visualizing, right? Or now it's manifesting, I
Yeah.
suppose, right? Visualizing that you can do something.
But you helped me too, like in summer league swimming, we would have pep rallies every week or so,
Yep.
and like there was always like a theme, and whoever had the best costume would win. And like I feel like I won so much they had to stop giving them to me because you would help me like create these costumes of like, and it really made me like it. I remember when we were doing the theme sales, I was like, my life has really come full circle because I was so good at this when I was at swim team, and I'm like, now I figured out how to make a job out of this,
Right.
which is like really really funny. But
That is fun.
are you surprised that this is where I ended up doing?
Not at all.
Okay.
Yeah. It doesn't sound like it should be surprising
not at
anyway.
Well, to me, I feel like when I first started, I was like, oh, but then I was like, no, this makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. It's fun.
Because when I was little, my dream job was just to like,
I don't
I
know.
think I didn't-
You were going to have a cupcake.
it was like a cupcake.
Cupcake.
Oh, I feel like people would like ask about a dream job, and I'd be like, I don't really see myself like working for like. I was like, I just don't see myself because like when you're a kid, you're like when you go to an office, like what do you do? I was like, none of that seems fun. I don't want to go to an office.
Be on a computer.
And like sit on a computer.
Yeah.
That sounds stupid,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
cool.
Well, Lil Megs, I love your brooch. Can you tell us about that?
I went to Restore. It was in the glass case. I bought it intending to give it to Helen, but then I was like, she's gonna lose it, so I kept it for myself.
That was
smart.
choice.
I can borrow it if I need.
It's so cute. Yes.
I think it's a pony or it's a donkey.
I think it's like a little deer.
A deer?
No, I think it's a pony.
Okay.
The tag said pony, so.
Okay. I would vote pony with the ears flying.
Yeah.
That's very cute. I love brooches. I have a ton. I just love them.
Mm-hmm.
And they're
Do you want to look at it? I don't see any
becoming incredibly popular again. Have you noticed that? Do you sell any here?
Helen's very into it right now. I
Me?
feel like,
Yeah.
yeah, you've been using a lot of
I have been using a
brooches.
lot. They're fun. Yeah, people are really into them.
Yeah.
I think
feel
it's
like
just an enamel brooch.
I feel like that's one of the biggest accessories people will
That's
come in
cute.
and just like thumb
Right.
through. Because we had a bucket and it's
Oh,
pretty
that's
sparse
cute.
now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's cute.
Can you tell
You
what it's
can-
from?
No, I don't think it has any mark. And my old eyes have trouble without a magnifier. But
Yeah, I don't
marks
see
on
any
it.
marks, and it just feels like a
Super cute though.
So you were kind of one of Thrift Pony's first employees because you worked at the Thrift Pony, the first Thrift Pony sale.
Absolutely.
What were like your memories from that, and then like what's the most, I guess, exciting thing from the growth that you've seen?
Oh, it's been fun. Just the customers are so fun.
Because you would do fitting rooms and you would talk to
I
all
was
of
the
them.
fitting room lady. Yes, I love that job.
Yeah.
too. That was great fun.
Because you like learned about some girl like breaking up with her boyfriend and then going to Europe. Like there's one girl that you became like friends with.
Well, there, you know what goes on in this fitting room
Oh,
stays
yeah,
there,
sorry.
right? Yeah, so it's just like whatever conversation. But no, it's just really fun. The excitement of it. I think, you know, when we were lined up in the parking lot over there at Plaza Midwood, right? Plaza Midwood. Just how I remember the first one, we were like bowled over by how many people came, and that's why I knew that social media is amazing because you get the word out and people are coming. But then they're just the loyal followers are just wonderful and just you know super fun.
Yeah.
And just to see how things have taken off. I did think of the initial days trying to have the themed racks. And then I wasn't as up on all the aesthetics or the themes or whatever.
You'd be like, is
they
this
were.
Harry Styles or Sex in the City? And I'm like, it could be either.
And then I would just make the executive decision to put it back wherever it needed to go because I'd kind of get out of there. But no, I think it was really fun and it's just a great, great fun. I'm very proud of you, Ms. Hellen. And Lil Megs, you've been here for 3 years, right?
Since
Isn't
the
that
first sale,
wild?
yeah.
Since that first one, right? Second one?
Before the first one. Oh no, not the first one, but since the grand opening.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, definitely, because the first one might have been in the fall.
Yeah, it was like in October.
Yeah, that's right. But it was, I flew down for some of them. It was just easier to come for the weekend and help. But I missed that. That was fun to do. And I hope to be able to bring Janet's junk vintage to one of your markets. But
do you have any parenting advice for someone trying to raise like an iconic entrepreneur?
Sounds like it was like all chaos.
put your seatbelt on and buckle up. And enjoy the ride. It's
No,
been really
like
fun.
I feel like Alex and I joke about this, but he's like, I think your parents just told you all the time that you could do anything, and you just like
Oh,
believed
he's so
them.
right.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a good thing, though, isn't it?
I think it's a good thing.
But I think people like don't believe. Like I think I'm like I always joke that I'm like stupid enough to like believe. Like I think some people are too smart.
Okay.
Like Hugh sometimes is too smart.
Okay. All right.
And I feel like you have to be stupid enough to just believe. Like I'd just be like, yeah, of course. Like you'd be like, you're amazing, and I'd be like, of course I am amazing. I never questioned it. I'm like, why would they lie to me?
No, it's right. Absolutely. No, that was, I don't have any advice for anybody. Just have fun. Enjoy the ride. Right.
Okay. Well, I want you to plug where can people follow you?
Oh, I'm at Janet's Junk Vintage.
And you have
on
Delray
Instagram.
Flea
I'll be
soon.
at the Delray Vintage Flea on March 14th, and it's monthly. It's always that's the second Saturday of the month, and then I'll have some other markets coming up too. In the
Any
spring.
Thrift Pony markets?
I hope to come back and
Yeah.
and set up at one.
We could
of
do a
the
Janet's
Thrift
junk
Pony.
residency in the upstairs at Thrift Pony.
There's an idea.
If you want to lug everything
There's
upstairs.
an idea. There's an idea. Right. Well, we'll think about that. Right.
Right.
So, no, I look forward to it. Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you for joining us. This was a fun conversation, and thank you for everyone who listened. Thanks for joining us in the Ponyverse, and we'll talk to you next week. Bye. Bye. Great job.